Business Spotlight, brought to you by Cross Rhythms and Baba Baboon.
I'm Sonya Farrell. This is Business Spotlight in partnership with Cross Rhythms City Radio and Baba Baboon. Joining me in the studio this week, we've got Heather Whitehead from HW Leadership Consultancy. Hello, Heather.
Hi.
How are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm really good, thank you.
Good. So HW
Yes.
Leadership Consultancy. Mm-hmm. Just give us a little brief. What's it all about?
So the HW is obviously me, not very creatively named. I'm the founder of HW Leadership Consultancy, and essentially we offer services to business owners and leaders across all sectors to build their leadership capability, provide interim leadership support, and to work with executive leaders to build their resilience and skill set.
So that all sounds fabulous. It really does. But it can also sound a little bit complex if somebody's never been through the process. So I'm just going to ask you, what exactly, though, how can you explain it? What exactly is leadership?
So leadership is about influencing other people to follow you or to come on board with you, to align with your thinking, to buy your services, to do the things that you want to do. So leadership is always about trying to bring other people with you. So whether that's leading teams, whether that's leading a micro business that's just you, and actually it's about leading stakeholders to support you, to invest, to purchase services from you or your products. It's about the way that you set that direction for people to kind of come with you. It's all about taking people on a journey.
And in business then, obviously good leadership. I'm going to say good leadership, and I'll ask you to elaborate on what that actually means in a little bit. But if it is a good leadership within an organisation then, and the little things that you just mentioned there, but also going down into the staffing as well, surely it must give staff a boost, or the morale must be better.
100%. Good leadership for me is relational. And it's about people. And we talk a lot in business, don't we, about people buy from people they like.
Yeah.
Well, great leaders inspire trusting relationships, and they connect on a human-to-human relational level. So yes, there's a professional identity, or yes, there's a professional relationship that's there. But ultimately, when people connect with people, they feel listened to, they feel valued. And if we're talking about staff and teams, being able to kind of acknowledge people, meet them where they're at, tailor their development that's really specific to them, allow them to feel heard, allow them to play to their strengths. All of those things really aid retention, your kind of reputation, your ability to recruit great people. So it's really, really critical. And I kind of say to people, it's not my analogy, it's quite a famous one. I can't think who said it, but managing people is about making sure that they climb to the top of the ladder and do what they need to do. Leading that organisation is about making sure the ladder is up against the right wall. Okay. So that all the effort, people understand why they're giving you that effort, why they're working hard. And when people buy into people and leaders and they feel inspired and connected and valued, you unlock so much discretionary effort that is just, completely priceless in any organisation, regardless of size.
So a leader then, as such, a leader, is it a process that somebody goes through to become a leader, or are they already a leader?
So luckily for all of us, leadership skills are skills and can be practiced and improved. I think there are people who have a greater affinity to leadership, or I have one child who is a natural born leader. He's definitely not a follower, he's a leader, and you see those qualities in people. But great leaders don't rely on that innate quality or that kind of aptitude. They really kind of work on those skills, and they have a growth mindset, and they recognise that like with any skill, if you don't practice it and you don't focus on it in a kind of conscious way, you can become less great at it, and other people can overtake. So it's some people do find it easier, some people have a natural affinity, but it takes work and focus, and they are skills that need honing like any other.
Is there anybody, just going to ask this now actually, is there anybody in particular, whether it is somebody well known, high profile person in the public, in the public domain, etc., or somebody that you've come across who you might not be able to mention, who you see as really maybe inspired you as a leader?
Yes, yeah. There's lots of people. Someone who's really affected my style of leadership is actually someone. So my background before I founded HW Leadership Consultancy was as a prison psychologist, and then as a prison governor and prison group director for over 20 years. So I've led teams of all sizes and met lots of different people. I'm now really lucky to collaborate with someone who I didn't meet in prison. He lived in prison, so he was convicted of offences, and he now has his own company. And he's hugely successful, and we co-deliver leadership training.
Okay.
And I find him really inspiring because he's taken his lived experience of all kinds of public services, including his experience in prisons, and now takes that into organisations to help them develop what I'm describing about kind of relational human approaches to leadership in public services that are people-facing, particularly vulnerable people.
Do you think then, just going on a little bit from that, do you think that it is when you are able to share those lived experiences, and where as a person, an individual, you can show how you've changed things around or how you've grown even?
Yeah.
Is that the key as well, a key element of being a leader?
I think being a leader, effective leaders recognise the value of their teams around them, and no matter how much experience you've got, you will never know it all, and you will never have the right answer to everything. So the best leaders are able to use the team around them, create a safe environment where people feel able to contribute, to take risks, and that they're not going to be kind of held unfairly accountable for mistakes that happen, so that you can really harness the value of the team and the sum of the whole, really. That does involve some experience, I think, but I don't think you have to have done everything to be able to lead well. And I've seen some amazing leaders who've kind of come into prisons at really senior levels, having never worked in that sector, but are really able to utilise the people around them and bring transferable skills to drive an organisation forward. So while it can be really helpful and it is really beneficial, I don't think it's critical in the sense that if you don't have sector experience, you can't add anything. I think it just creates that extra demand on you to be able to absorb, learn, keep an open mind, and critically identify, actually, where does my diversity of experience add value? Because lots of big organisations are have quite closed thinking and quite rigid cultures, because they tend to home grow talent, and therefore history repeats itself. So being able to kind of work out where, no, actually I'm going to challenge that as the leader, because that feels like a practice that's just there because of culture, or it's outdated, or it no longer serves our mission. But also recognise that the vast majority of things are there for good reason. So I'm not going to go in all guns blazing, and I need to kind of spend time and listen and work out that's the right balance for me.
And what would you say then would prevent somebody from becoming a good leader? Is it their own sort of constraints, like you say? Is it their own mind? Do they keep themselves locked away? They don't want change?
Everything and anything. So I think we can all be our own worst enemy, can't we? And we're probably all great at holding ourselves back. And that
I was there this morning.
And I, with over 10 years governing prisons, still had those moments. And when I work with my clients now that I coach, I'm like, this is totally normal. Imposter syndrome, the inner voice, all of those negative self-talk patterns that we have when our little demons come out and tell us, everybody's looking at me for the answer and I don't know the answer. Actually, it's okay not to have the answer. So those kind of ways of thinking and acting can definitely limit our ability to achieve our potential. And that is where coaching can come in, because working with someone else can help you kind of rationalise those. And it's really hard. We were talking when we first met this morning about taking our own advice. Like holding the mirror up to yourself is really difficult. So I coach people, and part of that is about helping them, creating the space for them to reflect. It's not giving them all the answers. It's really hard to do that yourself. So I think sometimes that can help. The other things that hold people back, being their best, because we're not all at our best every day, can be pressure from an organisation, pressure for performance, I've come from a very highly regulated, highly scrutinised sector, and I can recognise when I've not performed at my best because of that scrutiny, and your focus is taken away from what would make the bigger difference, actually. So I think there's a lot about that. And I think, there's a lot about impression management. I was talking then about someone coming in who was perhaps new. They've got to balance that time to take stock, make really informed choices with, we all want to impress, don't we? Like, we all want to start a new job and we want to, look what I've worked out, here's what we're going to do. We all want to show our skills. And I think sometimes if we do that too quickly and are not confident enough to take stock, that can sometimes come unstuck as well.
Yeah.
I think people that are, thankfully you don't come across many people like this, but if someone is particularly self-interested and they don't see their teams as people and they see people as a commodity and a resource, that's a pretty good recipe for failure as a leader. Being very, very command and control. She says, as the ex-prison governor, when I was a gold commander, of course that's the way that we operated, and there's necessity in that, like there would be in the military and the emergency services. Yeah. But in terms of building teams and driving strategic priorities over time, that command and control structure isn't an effective one.
And apart from the person you mentioned earlier, the gentleman that you've known for a long time.
To be fair, that's Gethin Jones, who is fabulous.
Gethin, hello Gethin. But apart from Gethin then, in your work and your experience, and maybe somebody in business now as well, without, again, you don't need to go into who or anything like that, but is there any example where you have seen a transformation where they didn't think they were able to be a leader, and then they have gone on to grow? And what kind of process did they go through to do that?
Yeah, I mean, so many times I've seen that kind of journey for people, where maybe their confidence, they didn't see their potential. And I've seen it in business, I've seen it in kind of large public sector delivery supply chain, where they're kind of part of a massive team. And generally the journey looks pretty similar, which starts with helping people recognise the strengths that they bring. I think culturally sometimes we really, really focus on what are our areas of weakness and what do we need to improve and what went wrong and how should we do that, and giving people constructive feedback's really important, but actually really effective individuals and organisations take a strengths-based approach. Let's put the round pegs in the round holes and get the results done, instead of trying to round off those corners of people when that might not just be a great match for them. So sometimes it's about helping people see their strengths and align their kind of ambition with what their strengths are. I do a lot of stuff with people about actually shaping what that vision is, because again, we stifle our own ambition, particularly women can do that. So I think the initial part of the journey is that belief and that recognition of skill set. And then from that, it's about learning the skills. So, people don't just arrive one morning having had a lobotomy and they're a great manager. They are skills and you can learn them. And there's something about training, mentorship, great coaching, and that particularly applies in SMEs, I think, where leadership and business management are completely intertwined, but they're not exactly the same thing. And I think knowing who to engage with at different points in your business, on whether that's a sector specific mentor who knows exactly what they're doing, or there's someone who's built 3 startups and they've got great experience in those first 2 years, or it's someone like me who will help you kind of shape that team and that vision and that strategy and create a great culture that will help your business thrive. You need different things at different times. So it's asking for help at the right time and sequencing that well. And then the last thing for me is about reflection, and that can be coaching, but it doesn't have to be. That can be in big organisations, reflective practice. But leaders, when you asked me before what can hold people back or what can be a challenge, resilience is. So operating under that strain all the time, high scrutiny, difficult financial circumstances, things that are going on in all sectors at the moment, particularly public sector, where charities are really, really struggling for funding. Operating under that level of pressure takes its toll on people, and none of us can operate at our best. So supporting the well-being of leaders is really important. Business owners recognising it's okay to prioritise their own well-being is really important. And if you are in teams, creating the space for that reflection or supervision, whatever it's called in that industry, but a space where people can kind of decompress, offload, learn from each other, maintain perspective, and get a bit of peer support is really, really critical. And when you're a solo business owner, that can be so hard.
Yeah.
Some people get it from networking, some people get it from coaching, some people just have a great friend network and it works for them. But I think when you don't have someone to remind you to maintain your resilience, it's not like, you become a leader, you tick, you've passed your driving test, you are now a leader, you are going to be able to do that forever. You've got to kind of maintain that well-being and make sure that you're looking after yourself, because you can't look after the people around you or deliver a really great service unless you prioritise that.
Yeah, I was going to say, it all goes down the ladder again, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And down the supply chain and everything. The more that you can identify the different skills that are needed as a business owner and allow others to come in or to change and adapt and be open to that, then surely that could also help to boost not only morale, but recruitment process.
Oh, absolutely. Creating a really great culture isn't just about positivity and nice things and rewards. It is about creating a space where people are able to bring themselves to work authentically. It's a really transparent culture. There's a really clear vision and mission and values of an organisation. And some people think, oh, but I'm just me, but actually people buy from me because they buy into my values and who I am and what HW Leadership Consultancy stands for and the kind of organisations that I like to work with, and what my background is. So it doesn't matter how small you are. I think having those things are really important, because the culture of your company, even if you don't employ loads of staff, is what all of your stakeholders, your investors, your board, your supporters, your customers, it's what all of them buy into. And it will be the kind of foundation on which you can build real success, whatever that might look like for you.
And Heather, just one more thing. I know you're fast approaching your 1-year anniversary for HW Leadership Consultancy. I'm just going to ask you quickly, how has the first 12 months been?
Oh, a roller coaster, a massive roller coaster. And it's been amazing, scary, exciting, all of those emotions, as anyone who started a business knows. I was very institutionalized into kind of working for an organization. So the biggest challenge for me has been to learn about marketing and networking and all those other things. Because I'm like, I've got all these great skills and I can support people and I'm really motivated. And it's like, when I've come from public sector where there's more work than capacity, I'm now like, oh, I've got to bring all this work to me. How do I do that? That was challenging.
Yep. I think
cash
sometimes,
flow.
People don't realise. I've found over the years, and people who, I've come across, is I think sometimes people think they can step into business or come out of an industry where they might be going into business in themselves, and they just think it's all going to happen.
Yes.
It's difficult, isn't it?
It is difficult. And, when I'm the kind of leadership consultant who had a good plan and I'd got a clear vision and, but it's still challenging, and I've learned loads of new skills, which has been great. And, there's something really leveling about looking at your cash flow forecast when it's you, when it's on you. But the flip side of that is, now I'm in a more comfortable position and when I don't panic about that as much. But the flip side of that is it's so rewarding when someone, that first invoice where someone's kind of really valued your services and they're prepared to pay a reasonable fee for that, and the feedback that you get and the testimonials when it's you doing it for you and you're bringing in people who are aligned with your vision and your values and ways of working, like that's rewarding in ways that I didn't really experience working for corporates or a larger organisation. So I would say everything and anything on any given day.
Exactly. So before you go, Heather, if you can, 3 top tips for anybody out there who is just starting out in business.
Believe in yourself, and when you feel like it's going to fail, realise that's completely normal and it will pass, and there are techniques that you can use to help that pass more quickly. Secondly is surround yourself by people who have done what you're trying to do. Because people are generally very helpful in sharing advice, very supportive. And actually, I'm a firm believer, you become the people that you spend most of your time with. And if you want to be a successful business owner, surround yourself by successful business owners. And then the third one would be have a plan, but be prepared to scrap it. That's what I would say. So I'm all about vision and strategy and planning. I think you will fall hard if you don't have one, but particularly when you're starting out, you really, really need to be comfortable being agile, and change is okay and things won't work, and that's great. It's all an opportunity to learn, take it on the chin, move on. It's the end of your world today, but no one else has noticed.
Yep.
And actually the next thing could be the best thing.
Yeah. I like that one. I like the final one especially, because I think when you're starting off or in any time throughout business and you do put a plan into place, and you do put pressure on yourself sometimes to think, well, I can't change this, because people will think, what have they done that for? So I appreciate all of that myself, Heather, and thank you so much for coming in on Business Spotlight. I hope you've enjoyed it.
It's been great. Thank you for having me.
No problem. That's Heather Whitehead from HW Leadership Consultancy here on Business Spotlight with me, Sonya Farrell.
Business Spotlight, shining a light on our local business community. Brought to you by Cross Rhythms and Baba Baboon.